There you go. Thank you all for coming today. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's a pleasure to have all of you again in this beautiful Sunday morning here in Toronto. And for all of you who are connected over the internet, thank you all for joining too. And I'm glad that you all be able to make it, and both the incarnate and discarnate friends that are present here today. As we normally do in our Sunday lectures, today we're going to have our initial reading by Daniel, who's going to read for us, and followed by our initial prayer. And right after that, we're going to have this inspiring lecture, Forgiveness of Ourselves and Others as a Way to Happiness, delivered by our friend Teresa. So before we get started, and now with this feeling, this nice light and nice vibrations in the air, let's just get started with our initial reading. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Daniel.
I'll do the reader.
Yes.
Reading. Sorry. Do not give your mental spaces over to vulgar thoughts. Fill all the breaches with ideas of edification, action for good, your own and others' happiness. It is the mind that plans of action are initiated. The empty mind creates unfortunate images which are embodied with great destructive power, consuming those who project them as well as others. Struggle purposefully to keep those empty hours from filling up with mental garbage that will make you unhappy or vulgar. Thank you, everyone.
So after this inspiring reading, let's just start with our initial prayer. So let us elevate our minds and our thoughts to our Father, Mother, God, our Creator. Thinking about our Master Jesus that taught us so much and still teaches us every day. And all our spiritual friends and mentors that are present here today. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of being here, of learning, of improving ourselves, and learning the tools and the ways for us to continue to make a change, not only in ourselves, as we're going to learn today, but also in all the people around us, the world, everybody in need. So we ask our Master Jesus to help us in this journey, this pathway to perfection that we're going through. And let us all this Sunday ask for our speaker today to be blessed, illuminated with guiding thoughts, and for all of us here to be able to absorb this knowledge and continue moving forward, improving ourselves every single day. Thank you, God, and so be it. Teresa?
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. You guys can see I actually used the same picture that we had on the internet, on social media to talk about this lecture, to call people for the lecture today. And the reason I used that picture, it's because when Isabella created this art here, she couldn't have got a better picture than this one, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, as freedom, because that's what it is when we're talking forgiveness as a way of happiness. When we forgive ourselves, when we forgive the others, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about freedom to let behind these heavy chains that we carry around when we do not forgive. So this picture could not have been more perfect, Isabella, when you created this for us. So I decided to keep this as my background picture for you guys today. Okay. So chapter 10 of the Gospel according to the Spiritism is that exactly what it talks about. So the title is Blessed are the Merciful. And that's exactly what it talks about. It talks about forgiving ourselves, forgiving the others, what's forgiveness, being merciful to others, and everything. Okay. And this chapter starts with 3 passages from Matthew, passages that we all kind of know, like we all have heard them about. So the first one is the very simple that says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they themselves shall be receive mercy." And then there's another one that says, "Forgive other people's wrongs, so God can forgive your wrongs as well." Right. So the lectures that all passages from the gospel that we understand, have heard before. And it's like, oh, I understand. I have to forgive the others, they'll forgive me. Or if I want to go to forgive my wrongdoings, I have to forgive the others. Yeah, okay. I kind of get it. Okay. And then there's the famous one when where Jesus says, no, if someone sins against you, take them in private and tell them, like, hey, you hurt me, right? And forgive them in private. Don't expose them. And then the passage when Peter then asks, okay, but Jesus, how much should I forgive them? 7 times? And then that's when Jesus says, no, it's 70 times 7 times, right? So basically say there's no limit. You should always forgive, okay? So kind of easy to understand the concept, okay? So I have to forgive, so I have been forgiving, and I have to forgive all the time. But what means forgiveness is? What is to forgive? And what is not to forgive? Because that's the other thing too, right? We need to understand what true forgiveness is and what's not forgiveness, because there's the other thing too. There's stuff that we think is forgiveness and it's not. And there's sometimes stuff that we think is not forgiveness and it is, right? So we need to understand this concept. And in fact, this chapter starts exactly by telling us that there's 2 types of forgiveness, okay? There is the true forgiveness, and it says that there's the forgiveness only. I'm going to bring some of the concepts the main concepts that this chapter brings to us, and then we're going to explore a little bit more some of them, okay? So that's the first concept. They says there's 2 types of forgiveness, the real one and the other one that looks like forgiveness, it's not, right? So the first thing that it says to us that forgiveness does not impose conditions. So we start right there. So if I say, well, I forgive you, but only if you do this to me. No, I only forgive you. I'm only going to forgive the guy that stole my car if he comes and returns my car. Well, it's going to be hard for him to return your car, because probably even if the police catches him, by the time your car is gone. No, I'm only going to forgive. So that's not forgiveness. Okay, so if I impose to the person something for me to forgive them, that's not forgiveness. Okay. And there's also the forgiveness that's it's actually more from my pride as well. So it's kind of this. I go to the person and say, listen, I know you do not deserve forgiveness, but I will forgive you. And I'll tell everybody, see what this person did to me, but I went and I forgave them. That's pride, actually. That has nothing to do with forgiveness, okay? Because first, when I go to the person and say, you do not deserve forgiveness, but I want to give you forgiveness, first thing that I'm doing is putting this person lower, because you do not deserve, but and I put myself above them. But I'm the superior person here. I'm going to forgive you, even though you don't deserve. This is pride. That's not forgiveness, okay? So forgiveness is when I put myself on the same level, saying, hey, I'm as imperfect as you are. It's okay, right? So that's forgiveness, okay? So pride, and it's the other concept that they bring to us, is that pride is the main reason that most of the time we don't forget the others and we don't forget ourselves, which we're going to talk about a little later. That sees the hardest parts actually is to forgive ourselves. It's even more than forgiving the others, okay? And forgiveness is a lack of charity. That's what they bring to us. That we don't forgive others. We don't forgive ourselves. That's lack of charity. That's on the question on Spirit's book 886. Kardec asks the spirits, what's the true meaning of charity in the way that Jesus understood? And the answer is very simple. They say benevolence towards everyone, indulgence toward the imperfection of the others, and forgiveness for offenses. So charity. So when we do not forgive someone for something, that's a lack of charity, because that it is kind of a charity. We're very good at thinking about charity. Oh, I'm donating money. No, actually, forgiveness is charity. Accept other people's benevolence, that's charity. So we don't forgive someone, it is lack of charity. Okay. The other concept that they bring to us is that there is no merit to forgiving small offenses. Because the small offenses, let's be honest, we all can forgive, right? So let's give an example. If I have my old running shoes, the one that has been at least 6 months, I need to throw in the garbage, right? It has some holes in it, but I'm still wearing it. It's like, just, I want to just use a little bit more. And someone comes and steals that pair of shoes. The probably someone's like, hey, how can someone steal mine? But are you going to be mad? Really? At the end, it's going to say, you can be mad because it's wrong. It is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's an old pair of shoes. What this person did is an offense. So it's wrong. Okay. But in the end, you're going to say, it's just a pair of shoes. It's full of holes. I don't care. I should have thrown in the garbage 2 months ago. And anyways, I'll let it go. Now imagine if the same person comes and steals that brand new shoes, that brand shoes that you bought, that you spent 3 months saving the money. It cost you $300 and you only had used once. And someone came and stole this shoe. Is your reaction going to be the same? It's not, right? So that's what they're saying. Small offenses, there's no merit in it because we all can let it go. Things that don't truly affect us. Yeah, someone did something against us or said something against us. It's so small. We let it go easily because it didn't really affect us. What's true forgiveness, what really has a merit is when we forgive something that really hit us, like strong. Then that's when the merit comes in, right? But forgiving small offenses, there's no merit in that either, because that is something that we all do. Okay. The other thing that's not forgiveness is as well is when I tell a person, say, someone did something wrong to me, and I say, okay, I forgive you, and I really forgive the person. I don't do anything. I don't get back to them. I don't want to revenge or anything. But then eventually when something bad happens to them, I was like, yes, see, that person deserves. Because they did that to me in the past. See, that's the law of action. And as I say, that's the law of action and reaction. They're taking back now because they deserve. So I take pleasure on this person going through some ill. Well, guess what? I just revenged this person. It just wasn't me. Someone did for me, and I'm happy that happened to this person. So you know what? Back in there, when I thought that I had forgiven this person, actually, I didn't. Because if I had it, when something bad happened to this person, I would actually, instead of being happy that something happened to this person, I'll say, what can I do to help this person? Right? So those are all concepts that this chapter brings to us about forgiveness, right? What's true forgiveness? That's how the chapter starts. What's true forgiveness? What's not true forgiveness? But he brings also another concept that it's very important for us as spiritists, is that brings the concept of reincarnation. Because as spiritists, we know that there's no such a thing that when we die here, we're going to either go to heaven or hell. And the person that I had an issue with this person my whole life, we hated each other, it's over because this person now is dead and it's over. I don't have to deal with this person anymore, right? From the spiritism, right? It's if we hate each other, or if I hate someone and this person may not hate me, but I hate this person, or vice versa, well, we're going to still be connected even after one of us discarnate or both discarnate in another reincarnation. But every time we're going to meet up, we're going to bring this. Okay. So this concept that just because someone discarnated, I don't have enemies anymore, because we know that's not what happens. Okay. That's why many times Jesus brought us, go and reconcile with your brother and sister that you have problems, because this is going to come back to you. This is very serious, right? So that brings another layer of how important it is for us to forgive, because otherwise we're not going to be enslaved by this hatred while we are here. But we're going to discarnate and carrying the weight and still being enslaved. And that's how many obsessions it happens with non-spiritism, right? Spirits that still angry at each other and they still want falling in. I'm going to do something better to this person, still want a revenge. And some spirits can spend centuries looking for revenge without being happy, right? Because that's what it is. Because then we're going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to see how my anger, I'm actually allowing this anger to manipulate myself, okay? There's many other concepts that they brings to us in this chapter, but those are to me the main ones that I want to bring, and then I want to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about some concepts based on all of this that Divaldo brings to us, right? And Divaldo tells us that, and he talks about, when he talks about self-forgiveness, he says that it's very hard for us to forgive ourselves. And one of the reasons is because we have a hard time to accept our fragilities, to accept our imperfections, okay? And the same with the others. We also have difficulty to accept the fragilities and the imperfection of the others. So then I have a hard time to forgive the others, okay? And in fact, we have the duty to forgive ourselves as much as we have the duty to forgive the others, okay? And that's why Jesus brought us this concept, and he said, love God above all and love your neighbor as you love yourself, okay? But it's hard because sometimes it's easy to see that the other ones are imperfect. But me, when I make a mistake, it's not accepted that I made that mistake. And that's pride. We have a hard time to accept that I have my imperfections as well. I have my fragilities. So I do not accept. And it's very dangerous, right? It's very dangerous because if I carry this guilt feeling for my whole life, I can disconnect with the guilt feeling. I can reincarnate again with the guilt feeling because I see myself as lower. I see myself as I don't deserve forgiveness. I did so many wrong things that I don't have forgiveness. And that's okay. No matter how bad we have done, we have a chance to restart and do it again, right? The mistakes that we made don't define who we are. It just defines who we are at that moment. But we can always change. Okay? So that's why sometimes forgiving ourselves is so difficult, because everything is going to depend on how we look to the past. I can look to the past as an experience and say, even if I was a criminal my whole entire life, okay? I was a criminal my whole entire life. I killed I don't know how many people. And I can look back in my life and say, that's who I am. I can look at my back and just find a way to punish myself, right? I can punish myself for all this. I'm a bad person. I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve forgiveness. That's who I am. So I can punish myself. I can look to the back, to the mistakes I did in the past and use them to punish myself. But if we do that, it's going to be very hard for me to forgive myself because I'm going to believe an idea that's not true, is that I don't deserve forgiveness. Or I can look to the past and use it as an experience, where I can look to the past and say, look, all those mistakes that I did and where it took me. It took me on a path that is not good. Actually brought me sadness, brought me anger, didn't bring me anything good. So you know what? I'm going to take this as an experience to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Now I want to act in a different way. I'm going to take different choices. That's what it is. And that's the moment we're able to forgive ourselves and say, you know what? I know I did all those things, but I know I can do better. and I'm going to do better, and I'm going to try to do better. And then we forgive ourselves. Okay. But if we see as a way to punish ourselves, then it's going to be really very hard for us to forgive ourselves. Okay. But then Divaldo brings a concept that when you read actually this chapter on chapter 10 of the Gospel of Experiences, you say, Divaldo, what you say doesn't match the book. Because actually the chapter starts to saying that the true forgiveness is to forgive and forget. And then Divaldo comes and say, to forgive is not to forget. You may forgive, but you don't need to forget. And it's like, what he means, because the book says, the Spirit said to Kardec, it is to forgive and to forget. And then Divaldo says, no, those are two different things, right? So basically, the true forgiveness is not to return the offense that I have received. That's to forgive. So if someone came and stole from me, I'm not going to steal back, and I'm not going to steal from anybody else, right? Especially in Brazil, we have this sense, everybody steals. Everybody, so, the words for who's smart. So if everybody's doing, I'm going to do it, right? So basically, I'm doing the same as the other ones. I'm lowering myself to their levels, okay? And it doesn't matter if someone stole from me and I stole back from them, or if I stole from someone else, in the end, I'm doing the same thing, okay? So the true forgiveness is not to return the offense. If someone starts to say lies about me all around there, I'll let them do it. Like, I know it's lie, they know it's lie, and I'm not going to go out and start gossiping about this person as well. It's whatever it happens is to literally say, I'm not paying the bad that you did with me with bad. If anything, I'm going to do a prayer for you. I'm going to see you as someone who didn't understand the laws of love and charity, and let it go. But that's the path that I don't want to take. And that's forgiveness. So I don't return anything bad to this person, not in thoughts and not in actions. Okay? I just literally leave the bad that they did with them. Okay? So true forgiveness is not to keep ruminating, because I'm the master of it. If something happens with me, I ruminate it for days and days and days and days. Okay. And I wish I was a little bit more like my husband, because my husband next day is like nothing happened. He's totally fine and everything. For me now, it's like I ruminate that and I keep going. And it's okay if you ruminate for a day or two, because sometimes we do need to process what happened to us. That's okay. The problem is that it has been now a year, 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, a whole incarnation. I'm still angry about that. I'm still ruminating there. I'm still have resentment about that. That's the problem. The problem is not to feel resentment. It's not to feel angry. The problem is how long I'm keeping this. Okay, because sometimes you may have the time in there where you need that to process what happened with you, and then you let it go. Okay, but if I keep ruminating, if I keep bringing the episode back and back and back, that's not forgiveness. I can even tell to the person, like, hey, I forgive you, and the anger is still inside me, the resentment is still inside me. So, well, then there's no true forgiveness in here. Okay. So forgiveness in the end, and this is hard part to say in English, because in English we have a problem here with the language, is that the same verb to ser, estar, is exactly the same. This is the same verb to be, right? And they have two different meanings, because ser is something that I am. So I am brunette. I am a mere 68. That's a character that who I am. And when you talk about estar, which is ser, means it's a condition that I am right now, right? But the truth, so I'm going to try to explain this in English, because it's hard when you cannot use those two verbs. But the true forgiveness is when I accept the people to be who they are, in the sense of who they are right now. If they're going to change, if they're not going to change, I don't know. That's the state that they are right now. That's who they are. So ser, okay, who they are right now. But then accept myself as I am right now in the sense of star, meaning I cannot change the other. Him, I'm going to accept, or him or her, the person, I'm going to accept exactly how they are. If they're going to change or not, I don't know. It's their process of changing. But look at myself and say, hey, this is who I am right now, but myself, I can change. I can make myself better. So I also accept myself knowing that changing, it's on my side. And the other person, I allow them to be who they are. Change or change tomorrow, next day, in 10 years, it may be the same selfish person doing the same thing. It's okay. That's who they are. It's their process. But for myself, I will accept who I am right now, knowing that I have the power to change myself and move forward. Okay. So I cannot impose for someone to change. Oh, I'm only forgive you if you change. If you become another person, then I'll forgive you. I cannot do that. I cannot. Each one has their time. I cannot tell someone like that, I'm only forgive if you change. I cannot change other persons, okay? But what I can do to someone when they do something that's really offensive to us, that really hurts to us, is to start to look at them with the same eye that a doctor looks to a patient. So let's say I smoked for 50 years in my life, okay? Now I have lung cancer. Have you ever heard about a doctor that you go, and if you have, please let me know, because this person should not have a license, but have you ever known anybody who went to a oncologist, okay, and now has a lung cancer in there, and the oncologist goes and say, oh, did you smoke? And it goes, yeah, I smoked for, before I smoked for 50 years, now it's your problem, sorry, there's no treatment for you, now it's your 50 years of smoking, we're not treating your cancer, you go. Have you heard this? Because you smoke 50 years, you do not deserve care, because it's your fault and you do not deserve care, just walk away. Have you heard about this? Because if you had, let me know again, we should take away the license from this person, okay? No, you know what the surgeon is gonna say? Listen, let's create new apps now. If you haven't stopped quickness mode, we can do a surgery, what we're gonna do, and depending on the size of the cancer on the lung, you can do a resection when you take that piece off. We're going to do treatment. Let's do chemo. We treat people. Can you imagine all you with stomach cancer? How was your diet? Oh, you didn't have a good diet, so we don't treat them because it's your fault. You have no right for treatment because it's your fault. You did to yourself. No, don't. We treat those, right? So that's how a doctor looks to us. Someone who, yes, maybe it was caused by your habits or everything, but let's treat it right now. Right now we have a problem. Let's make what we can do right now to help you to change it, to get a chance on a new life and make new habits and new chance. But then when someone offends us, we cannot look at them like that. And that's what Divaldo invites us to look at them as a sick. People who are morally, spiritually sick. And if anything, needs help to change. Right? But we have a hard time to see like that. We see them as like offenders, are bad people, are people who do not deserve forgiveness. And it's not how it is. So let's try this. So it's a good exercise. Try to look them as someone who's sick. Not there yet. Exactly. Thank you. It's not, yeah. Someone who's not there yet, who didn't understand yet. Okay. Sorry, my page here in mess. The other thing too that Divaldo brings to us that it's very important is that every time someone offends us and I get angry and now I want a revenge and everything, what we did is allow this person to manipulate us. Because I'm here on a very sunny day and as I'm allowed this person to bring a dark cloud on top of me. That's what I'm doing. Because the moment that someone comes to offend and does something bad to you and answer back with that anger and everything, and I keep, because that's what he says. He actually even says something that's very interesting. He says it's okay for you to be angry. He says it's even healthy for you to angry. If something happens to you that really hurts you, it's okay in the first moment to feel angry, because you're processing what happened to you. It really hurt you. The problem is to keep the anger. That's the problem. To keep the anger, the resentment, and carry. And then now I want a revenge now, because it says at this moment, you allow this person to take away your peace. You allowed whatever this person did to you to literally manipulate you. And now you're a slave, right? And I'm talking about like and I'm talking about the one, like again, when he says, when we angry for a moment, when you're like mad for a moment, it's okay. But when I keep it and keep going, and we're talking about weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, we are not, and we allow this person to make I allow this person to make me a slave, because they send this negative thing to me, I absorb it, and now it's mine. And it wasn't mine before. I could let it go. But really allowing, that's the word that Divaldo used. I allow this person to manipulate me. That's what we're doing. Okay. So in the end, it's us who allow those people to take our peace away. We can decide. So when the person cuts me off when I'm driving, I can let it go, right? I can completely let it go and think, I don't know, maybe they are late for work, maybe they desperately going to have a loved one in the hospital. I had someone who said one that was funny, maybe they have diarrhea, and they desperate to get in the washroom. Let it go. It doesn't matter. Let it go. I can be mad for 10 seconds, call this guy a few not so nice names, him and his mother, but let it go, okay? Which is, I would say most of the time, that's what we do. Or I can be so angry that now I get to home or to work really mad and pissed, and then I'm now spreading this energy to everybody around because I'm already irritated, and and I spend the whole day, and no matter who I meet that day in the office, I'm going to tell them, did you know this guy did on me when I was driving? And I keep telling the story over and over and over again, and absorbing all this negative energy that I open up. I chose, right? So it's a choice in the end, okay? Remember how I said that forgiving is not forgetting, okay? Even though the Gospel according to the Spirit says that the true forgiveness is to forgive and to forget, it's because those are two different processes. To forgive is a choice that I can make. It's my conscious choice to say, hey, you did this to me, I forgive you. Yes, I was mad for a week or so, but now I process, it's all good. We good, okay? Forgive is a choice. I can choose it. To forget, it's actually a process of the brain. You cannot forget things that you saw. You cannot forget things. It's a brain. And actually, physiologically, you have enzymes. Every time you have a memory, you have enzymes in your brain that are associated with that memory. Okay, that's why if you have a stroke, depending where you have the stroke, or you can lose some part of your memory, depending where is. Some people they lose their short-term memory, but they remember all the stuff because it is in your brain. It is physiological. I saw it. It happened. I cannot, and trust me, I'm pretty sure all of us here have stuff in our life that we'll gladly forget. If we could just go in our brains and say, gone, let me take the image out of my mind. We cannot. Okay. So forgetting, it's a matter of time. Yes, eventually as spirits, we are going to forget that event. But to think that I can forgive and forget at the same time like this, we can, because we cannot shut down our brains. That's why they're two different things, because they're two different different process. Of course, when we get way more evolved than we are, then we may be able to do both at the same time. But right now, the level that we are, we can forgive, forget. It's harder. Okay. Maybe there's stuff that people did to us like 30 years ago, and you're in school, that if the guy said, hey, do you remember you did this? Oh, I'm so sorry I did this. You say, really? I don't even remember this. It's really far away, right? So as eventually, and of course, depending how important those things are, there are things that we are going to bring with us. We're going to disconnect it, and the memory what happened is going to still be there. Okay. So that's in the sense that Divaldo says the forgive and the forget are not the same thing. Because forgiving is a process I can do here right now. Forgetting, it takes time. Okay, so two completely different process. Okay, and there's a phrase that I heard from Divaldo years ago that it's perfect, because it says, if someone offends you, it's their problem. If you feel offended, it's your problem. Sorry, if someone offends you, it's their problem. If you feel offended, then it's your problem. So basically saying that if this person did something wrong, it's their problem, it's their action, it's not your action. But how you react to it, it's then your problem. Because if it really offended you, so let's say if someone told you something that it's true, and you got offended, but why you got offended? It's true. So you should not get offended. If someone said something about you and it's a lie, and you get offended, why are you offended? It's a lie. So it doesn't matter if the person, you know it's a lie. But why we get offended a lot of times? Pride. Because probably whatever this person said pointed out something in me that I kind of hide, or that shows something last side of me that I don't like it touches my pride. Or when they see some lie, and it's like, oh, but if people really believe in this guy, it's gonna tarnish my image. And it's pride. Because the truth is, if people are saying stuff or saying anything to me, if it's true, if it's true, it's also true. I should say, yeah, actually, no, you're right. It is true. Yeah. And if it's a lie, I shouldn't even care. It's a lie. Like, it should not affect me, but affects our pride. Right? So really need to think about that, right? When someone do, or especially say something, just why would we get offended? Because there's only two options here. It's a lie or it's a truth. And either way, we should not get offended, okay? But even when it's actions or so many things like betrayal, someone betrayed me, and then unfortunately, how many times we see, like in relationships, people get betrayed, like, oh no, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna, no, and I'm gonna, I even have people close to me, oh, he betrayed me, so I only got easy when I went and I betrayed him. Yeah, and the relationship kept going, right? And I'm thinking, oh, okay. So I had first to get back to him, and then we kept, and I'm thinking, ooh. So basically, when we do this, is what we spoke about earlier. You lowering yourself to the level of this person. That's what Divaldo actually talks about. When someone does something to me and I absorb and I go to revenge, I just absorb this person's energy. And so I'm lowering myself to their level and just proving that I'm just like they are. I'm not any better than this, right? So we need to be careful with that. Okay. Because everything in the end, it's how we react to it. And I was watching this lecture from Rosanda Kingsley, which is a spiritist and he's a psychologist. And he says that in psychology, there is this theory, which is the 10-90 theory, which is 10% is what happened to you, 90% is what you do with it. So it's how we're going to react with people who do with us. It's what's going to really give us the whole picture. Okay. So if the guy cuts me off, that's only 10% when I'm driving. What I'm going to react and do, that's going to dictate the 90% of what's going to happen from the action. Okay. And I brought a video for you guys today. It's probably many of you guys haven't seen this video. And I brought it because I want to show the power of forgiveness. Okay. It was a famous case in States, I think in the 80s, maybe 90s. It's a serial killer. This guy killed 48 women, okay? And when he got caught, there's no trial, because when he got caught, he pleaded guilty to all of them. Said, yes, I did. In a very cold blood, like he had no reaction. He was emotionless. He was cold as can be. Okay. I'm not going to put the whole video, but in the beginning of the video, he's in front of the judge. And you know what the judge goes? On the death of so, do you declare guilt, innocent or guilt? And guilt. It goes one name by one name. And he's in a very, very cold way. Says guilty to all of them. He says, some of them I don't even remember who they were. They mean nothing to me, okay? The guy is cold as can be, okay? Because there's no trial, because he pleaded guilty to all of them, so there's no need for a trial. But what the judge did, had one audience where all the family members were allowed to go and say to the guy what they had to tell him, okay? Because it's more to give the families the chance to have a closure. Okay. And what I want you guys to look is the faces of the family members, what they say, the energy that comes out of them, and the face of the killer. Okay. And we're going to see a change here. Probably some of you already saw this video, but we're going to see a change in here when one father speaks up. You put the video.
Which is
Anytime. Stop the video. It actually makes me very emotional. What I think is interesting about this video, it's this guy. I don't know his story, his life story, but usually all those serial killers, when you go to their life stories, it's guys who came from destroyed houses, family, housing violence, and everything. But that's a guy who probably was never, ever in his whole life used to have someone have kindness to him. Okay. He needed one act of charity, one act of kindness for him to go from this cold stone man to there now being tears. Because he knows what he did. And probably very hard for him to forgive himself. Because he sees himself as a monster. A monster that's what I deserve. I deserve the hate that you guys giving to me. That's all that I deserve. And to me, what's the biggest lesson here is how the father starts. Because he said, I don't hate you. I know a lot of people hate you, but I don't hate you. But he says something that's very important. Say, this is making difficulty for me to live up for what I believe. So clearly it's a Christian man that now is being tested. Remember how we said that there's no merit on letting go of the small things? This is by far not a small thing. To me, this is one of the worst things, because someone can come and steal all my money. It's money. It didn't belong to me anyways. When I disconnect, it's part of me. This is a daughter. He lost a daughter. Okay. There's no, people have kids here, you know, there's no bigger pain than this. Okay. And these guys then say, it's being very hard because this is really testing what I believe for. To really love your enemies, to really forgive the offense on the other. And these guys there and say, I forgive you. Okay. And you see the reaction of this guy, who may be one of the rare acts of kindness they received towards him. Okay. This is tough. I don't think that most of us is not ready to forgive on this level, and it's okay. It's okay, right? But sometimes we cannot even forgive small things, right? To let it go of small things. Okay. But I brought this because we want to see what is the power of forgiveness. We can transform people. And maybe that one forgiveness is received, it's what's going to help this spirit, not only as incarnated, but as discarnated, to understand he's also loved by God, that he also deserves forgiveness, and he also deserves the right to restart it again. Okay. So I want to talk about a little bit, now that we just talk about what's forgiving, what's not forgiving, what's self-forgiving, I want to talk about what's not forgiving, because that's another thing we have a difficult thing to understand. Okay. So it's not forgiving also to diminishing or to approving the error that people did to us. So the person comes and offends me, and I say, oh, that's okay, Marco, that was nothing. But actually was not. I'm actually very hurt. What he did actually did hurt me. Okay. Oh, don't worry, it's okay. No, this is not forgiveness. We should be allowed to say, listen, what you did really hurt me. Okay. It wasn't cool. I need some time here. Okay. Let me process. And then I'll get out. And then it goes, oh, I'm so sorry, Teresa. I didn't mean to say, like, Marco, I know you didn't mean, but right now we have to allow us to say, I need time to process this. I probably want to forgive you, not just right now. We need to be honest to ourselves and be able to say to the person, no, you know what you did was wrong. It actually did hurt me. And I need time to process this, right? If this person comes and asks for forgiveness and I'm ready, you know, I'm glad you came to ask for forgiveness, but right now I need to work what's inside me. I'm actually too hurt to say this. We need to be, because to pretend I'm letting it go, it's not true forgiveness, because I have the resentment inside of me. I'm angry, I'm hurt. So this is not true forgiveness. Okay. We need to allow ourselves. That's why Divaldo says, it's okay to feel angry. It's healthy, even says, for a moment. So it helps you to process, and then you go to, think, okay, it's time to let it go. Okay. Because it's very hard to ask someone to be happy when someone comes and either betrays you or steals all your money, like your business partner, and steals everything. It's, oh, I'm so happy. I'm spirited, so I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm supposed to be I'm so happy. It's not this. You're entitled to be angry. The promise, do not carry this for too long. Okay. Forgiveness is not to wait also for the others to ask for forgiveness. Okay. Because forgiveness is a personal freedom. Because this person let's say our business partner, this person stole all the money, walked away. I mean, this person didn't even care for me. They said, you know what, you're dumb, and I did it. They don't care. I don't need to wait for this person. Oh, I'm only going to ask I'm forgiving person, but this person needs to come to ask for forgiveness. If they come to ask for forgiveness, then I'll give them forgiveness. That's not to forgive. What I want is this person to humiliate themselves, come, Say that they did what's wrong, and then I'll forgive them. That's not forgiveness. To forgive, there's nothing to do with the other person to come for forgiveness. Because there's some cases that there's no chance for that. Maybe the person discarnated already. Okay. Forgiveness is a personal process where I go and say, I'm going to letting this go. I'm not going to let this dictate my life anymore. Okay. Because as far as we keep the resentment going, okay, I'm going to still allow this person to hurt me. Okay, so let's not wait for the people to ask for forgiveness. Let it go, because it's hurting us. It's not hurting them. Okay. Forgiveness is also not to stop feeling pain. Do you think this father here is going to ever let it go, the pain of losing a daughter? Missing, not being able to hug anymore, to not be with her? He's going to carry that pain inside of him. So sometimes depending on what happens, it creates consequences in our lives that we're going to carry that pain with us. But that doesn't mean he didn't forgive this guy. Okay, because sometimes people think, oh, because I'm still feeling hurt by what happened, because the consequence, because I'm still missing my daughter, that means I didn't forgive. No, it's okay. Sometimes I can't let it go. I feel nothing against that person. I forgave. But yes, but I have the pain from the action that happened. Okay, the consequence of what happened. Okay. To forgiveness is not to neglect justice. Do you think if all 48 families went and say, oh, we forgive you, then they shouldn't go to jail? No, he still needs to go to jail. Okay. So to forgive is not to neglect justice. Okay. To forgive is not necessary to trust someone again. So if I had a business partner and they stole all my money, walked away, I'm not going to do business again with this person. I mean, not hate this person, have nothing against it. Right? Clearly, I cannot trust this person again. Okay. And sometimes, and to forgive, and if I cannot reconcile with people, that doesn't mean that I cannot to forgive. So to forgive is not necessary to reconcile with someone, because not always this is possible. Maybe I want to reconcile, the person still hates me. It's like, I don't even want to look at your face. Okay. Or I have a friend who had a very bad childhood. Cannot, until this day, he cannot forgive his mother. Cannot. Okay. This has actually a good relationship with her, but cannot forgive for everything that's done. It's like, I'm the victim. Till this day, I'm the victim of everything that my mom did to me as a child. Okay. And one time he told me, like, oh, I don't think I can forgive, because I think I'll never be able to have the real relationship, mother and son. And I said, but that's not, we don't need that to forgive. Forgive is to let it go, the resentment that you have, because the relationship is something that you built over years, right? So to reconcile is not necessarily for you to forgive, okay? And it's important for us to understand that, because sometimes people say, oh, I know I can't forgive because I'm still feeling pain, so I cannot. No, yes, you can forgive. Yes, I cannot reconcile with this person, but yes, you can. I cannot trust this person, so it means I cannot. No, you can forgive. So different things, okay? If you can do both at the same time, fantastic. But that's okay, those things. Because sometimes we confuse and then we think we don't have the capacity to forgive. And we do, okay? But in the end, what I want to bring to all of us here, incarnated and discarnated, is this. Is that the most beautiful thing is to remember that God loves us equally, no matter what we have done, okay? He's always going to love ourselves. So even when we look to our pasts and say, I do not deserve, have been such a bad person, and I don't even deserve to ask for forgiveness to God. Listen, he's still on by your side. He's still by our side. He's still here with us. And I can guarantee to you that in that audience there, the love that God feels for every single person in there, family, victims who discarnated, the killer, the judge, everything is exactly the same for each one of them. Because there's no two gods, the one that loves me but punishes my enemies. There's only one, okay? And the love that he has to us is exactly the same, because he can look at us and say, I know that's who you are right now, but I know your potentials. and I know you're going to develop them. Okay, so next time that any one of us here present, incarnated or discarnated, think I am a bad person and I don't deserve to be forgiven, and I'm not going to forgive myself, remember that God loves all of us equally, no matter what we do. He's always with us. He's always here to lift us up, to allow us to restart it again, to look back, not as a punishment, but as a experience, and start again and do better. Because His love will never, ever end, no matter what we do. So we all deserve forgiveness. We all deserve to forgive ourselves. Okay? And that's what I want to bring today to you guys. Any questions? Any comments? All right. Oh.
Just have a quick comment experience to share. So in the last few weeks, we've been going through some interesting trials. Let's put it this way. You know, I've been connecting a lot with mentors and receiving comments and information and letters and stuff, and then I was always trying to figure out like from all the things, like what is causing this to happen now? Like always, like something happens to you and it's difficult, and I'm always like with the spirit's background, right, trying to understand what's happening. So one day I was driving home and trying to figure this out, and my mentor projected this image of my neighbor in my mind, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why am I thinking about my neighbor? Right? Totally crazy. And then came the message like, you gotta forgive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's like, you know. So 7 years ago, we had an argument about a fence.
I remember.
I was trying to forget now. But it's funny because in my side, I always felt like, no, I don't carry right. I'm fine, you know, in my mind, right? And then I would have this mental debate with the mentor, right? So I sent a message like, "What are you talking about? I'm fine." It's like, "No, you're not fine." Like, "Yeah, I'm fine." "No, you're not fine." And then we kept going through this. When I parked the car in my driveway, my neighbor's standing literally 5 feet from my door. God knows what he was doing, right? But then I'm like, that's what you meant, right? And I'm like, yes. And I just heard the words that go. I'm like, okay, I'll go. So reluctantly, step out of my car, and I went straight to my neighbor. We're side by side neighbor. He was fixing something, and I literally went up to him and said, "Hey, I know I had some issues in the past, but I just want to say that we're cool, right?" And then the manager said, "It's not enough." Not joking. It's like, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" "Yes." Like, I'll barely said the word, but I said, "You know, I just want to, you know, just make sure that, you know, no, that's not enough. Just keep going." And then I finally said, "You know, I'm sorry for whatever happened, and let's move on." The guy just opened this huge smile, like from ear to ear. He looked at me. It's like, "Oh my God, thank you. This is so important. Like, you know, we're good. I know I'm gonna need you at some point, and I want to really be friends." I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I mean." And I was like, "Yeah, finally." Right? And then we shook hands, and like Chico in his description with his neighbor feud, I saw the exact same thing. I saw this big cloud of darkness just disappear in front of us, right? But I could see it. I think my neighbor might initially told me that at the moment, just to see, kind of, do you see that? And then from that day on, like, I kind of everything I'm thinking about is like, who should I forgive next? I'm like, I gotta move that line up, right? Because it's a lot. So if I come up to you like random and say, I'm so sorry. That's kind of, but that's exactly what we're talking about, is that we keep these things and we try to protect ourselves that we're fine. but we're not fine, right? But we don't know, right?
Yeah.
No, like
We just don't know.
yeah, we just don't, like, you know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are fine.
Yeah, no, but I would say like we have to proactively think about things, you know, and understand that we make mistakes, but also we have to mend them, we have to move on, right? And I think that's the power of forgiveness. Like
Yeah.
it's one example, but you know.
Yeah, that's exactly about the video to see how one forgiveness from someone, and you see that this father was being honest, like he transformed this guy.
Yeah.
One act of kindness, because this was an act of kindness, charity in there. And you see in your neighbors, same thing. The guy was expecting this for years, and then for him was important, right? Then maybe for other person, like, oh, that's okay, it was no problem, I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
But for him was important. Remember how many years probably he was waiting for that,
Yeah.
right? He changed his day. It was like
Yeah.
fantastic.
And I didn't have to buy a soup machine, so that's, you know, so that's better.
Yeah.
It was easier, right?
But because of pride, we have such a hard time to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for myself, like big time speaking for myself. Hard time to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's hard time. Pride, right? It's pride. But we need to be really careful. And Givaldo, I could bring way more stuff, but Givaldo talks about that, right? How the guilt that you create to you and then you bring to an extra life, that's what sometimes will create the depressions, anxieties, because the guilt that's in there, it's in the spirit, it's imprinted. And narcissism, because he says yes, because sometimes narcissism as well, because I know I'm not a good person. So I put you down because I cannot come to your level. So I want to put you down. So I hide who I think that I really are. And it's not who you really are. That's who you were. You can be someone different, right? But how those psychological problems that I can bring to us through many different reincarnations, even not on this one, right? And how many wars we have right now just because maybe we cannot forgive each other, right? So it's it's way easier for us now to see each other as enemies than as brothers and sisters and start to forgive each other, right? So world will be a little bit easier to live on if we start to be a little more charitable and forgive each other and forgive ourselves as well, because that's very, very important to forgive ourselves. Okay. Thank you, guys.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Teresa, for this this very illuminating lecture on forgiveness. We're going to proceed with our passes now, and for all our friends that are connected with us over the internet, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see each other again very soon. Now, for all of us here,